Right, this is going to be probably a quick, brief little video. Hopefully, anyway, I'm going to try and stay on topic. I'm not very good at that. Probably guessed that by now, but I'm going to try. So, questions are, well, the question is, what is the point of boots, a burner, an amplifier when it comes to radio and in general, not just CB, but in radio in general? Well, the point of it is, in a nutshell, the point of it is so that your radio doesn't have to do quite so much work, and the amplifier, or the boots, or whatever you want to call it, the slave, you could call it a slave, that's a new one, never heard that before, that does all the work. If one of these gets too hot and breaks down, it's a lot cheaper to replace than it is to replace a whole piece of radio equipment. Not always these days, but that used to be the case anyway. But if you use an amplifier properly, it shouldn't break. But the point of it is, if you've got a radio, for example, in ham radio, if you've got one that does 100 watts, usually there'll be 100% duty cycle, so you could do 100 watts all day long, but that's beside the point. It's good practice to use something below its means, if that makes any sense. So if you've got a radio that can do 100 watts, and you want to transmit 100 watts, it's a good idea to have an amplifier. You use your radio, you use it, you put in, let's say, 10 watts. You got the radio set to 10 watts. The radio then is just ticking over. It's having a nice life. It's not flat out, it's not going to wear out as quick. That amplifier will then be taking up the slack, transmitting 100 watts. You've got your desired outcome. If you're driving the amp properly and you're not overdriving it, you're not doing too much mod, you've got everything set up properly, your audio modulation and signal should be just as clear, possibly even clearer than it would be without it. So really that's the point of an amplifier. It's to amplify your signal, to get your signal out there further, stronger and clearer, but also to reduce the wear and tear on your radio. That's it. That really, I feel that's answered the question. There's a lot of people that don't use an amplifier properly, and what they do is they overdrive it. And by that, I mean, let's just take, for example, one of these ones. Usually the most amount of power that you can put in one is about 4 watts. If you put any more than 4 watts in it, you're overdriving it, and if your modulation is too high, you can also be overdriving it, and your signal is going to become all jiggity jaggedy. It's going to be unstable, and it will damage the amp eventually, or maybe quicker than, maybe sooner than later, I don't know. It depends on the amplifier and how much you're actually overdriving it. If you put 12 watts into it, if you put 5 or 6 watts into it and it's only says it can take 4, it ain't going to be the end of the world. The signal won't be as clear as it could be, and it will reduce the life of it, especially with these transistor ones these days. They're very, very finicky. If you've got a valve amp with valves in it, you can overdrive them ever so slightly more. They'll take a lot more abuse before they break, but it's still not a good idea to overdrive any amp. And if you have got a valve one, you want to bloody well look after it, because not only are they few and far between these days, the ones you can buy new are expensive. If you buy an old one, it'll have survived however many years, and then you come along and overdrive it and kill it, you won't be able to get the valves for it as easy. I've only got 2 valves left, and I couldn't find any more for my valve amp. Bloody difficult to come by. So there we go. I don't really know if there's much more I can say on that topic. To summarise then, the point of an amplifier is to get your signal out there. It should be to get your signal out there further, stronger and clearer, and to make your radio do less work to preserve the life of the radio, because the radio is usually more expensive than the amplifier. If you buy a really expensive amplifier though, and you've got a really inexpensive radio, that point is invalid really, because obviously that's the other way around. But in a nutshell anyway, you can get preamps. I think I've touched briefly on those before. A preamp it does the opposite. So whereas a normal amplifier, a burner, boots, whatever you want to call it, that amplifies your signal going outwards, doesn't do anything for receive. But you get a preamp, you can get these with a preamp built in, not very good, or you can get a designated preamp. The best place for a preamp is at the very base of the antenna, the very base of the antenna. The same really for an amp and a tuner, in fact, but tuners will go on to in a different video. That's completely different. You don't really need that for CB, but if you're going to be doing sideband on the 555 and all that kind of stuff, which could be controversial, but if you are going to be, a tuner might come in handy. So I will do a video on tuners. Yeah, a preamp. So what that does is, as I say, it's the reverse of an amp. So the signal coming into your antenna that you're receiving, it might be a bit weak, but a preamp, it sucks it in, to put it as bluntly as I can possibly put it. Sucks that signal in, helps it come to your antenna, and you can hear that signal a lot clearer. Doesn't work all the time, and on FM and AM it also brings in a lot of noise as well. So while you may have a lot of crackling and fizzing and crackling and all this kind of stuff, bacon frying, and a little voice in the distance, you think, I'll put the preamp on and the voice will pop out, but it doesn't always work that way with FM. It also amplifies the bacon frying and the crackling and the hissing as well as the voice, and it can overpower the voice in some cases, so you're better off without the preamp. It's really only designed and any good for sidebands, upper and lower, because then you will notice in certain situations you'll hear a little voice in the distance and you think, oh, put the preamp on and you hear a very clear voice just pop out the clouds. You know what I mean? It's not always like that, but in certain situations it can really make a difference if you couple it with a couple of filters as well, perhaps. But there we go. We're meant to be on about CB and we've kind of drifted off a little bit, but yeah, that was it. More than one person asked a question about an amp. What's it for? What's the purpose of it? And that kind of thing. So hopefully I've answered that. And if you have any questions, if you think I've missed something out, if you was waiting for me to answer something or say something and I haven't said it and it's frustrated you, tell me about it. And if I know the answer, I'll obviously either comment back and tell you, or I'll make a whole video on it if it's worth making a whole video on that particular thing what you're asking about. The best way to get help and advice, not only from me but from anybody really, is to comment on this video or any of the other videos that I make, because if you comment I can see it and I can help you, but also other people who know the answer to the question you're asking, they can comment back and you can we can all learn from each other. So that's the best thing to do. And if you like the videos, please do like the videos. And if you like the series and you like what I do, think about subscribing, because it really helps me out. And if I can somehow make this whole thing into like a worthwhile doing, you know, I can buy more equipment, I can do this, and maybe I can really go to town and just help everybody. That's all I want to do, really go to town and help everybody. So yeah, your support really does make a big difference with everything. I'll catch you on the next one. As I said, any questions, just let me know and we'll go through them all. Take care and enjoy your radio. Enjoy CB. If you're just getting started, just bloody well embrace it and enjoy it, because it's brilliant. Go and watch the video that I'd done earlier on. I don't know when it's come up, but I went down a field, I put a wire up in my couple of trees, spoke to a few people on CB. Just stuck a wire up in a tree, just a wire. Stuck it up in a tree, plugged into the back of the radio, car battery to power the radio, spoke to some people. You know, brilliant. See you later on, all the best.